tell us a story about the worst coworker or employer you've ever had.
Can you tell us about the worst coworker or employer you have ever had?
Which one?
I don't even know if we're allowed to say that on camera.
Say it.
That's him.
It's me. Absolutely.
She used to be the worst to me, but now we like sisters.
Well, just the way you use the bathroom, bro.
Oh, come on, man. That happened again yesterday.
That is a lie.
I did not talk to you for like the first few months. On purpose.
This is like drama. This is like...
Like I never hated you.
Okay.
I was just like, oh my God, like, because...
Oh, like she a little too much.
Because like you would like come into my room and then you see my client, and like one time I was tattooing a client and then she came in, she's like, oh my God, hi, 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 you look like Will Ferrell. Like, you know, like you don't say stuff like that. Maybe like if he looks like Brad Pitt, like you should say, oh my God, you look like Brad Pitt, but like not Will Ferrell. Yes.
There's a lot of directions that this story can go, because we can talk about people who get arrested or people who get fired for trying to embezzle money or those things, right? You can go that way. You can say, oh, here's the crazy guy who wanted to fight everybody, this and that.
So I've worked at a lot of crazy shops and I have a lot of crazy stories. But I think one of the craziest stories was it was probably like the third or the fourth shop I ever worked at. I very quickly found out that everybody in the shop was on heroin, but me. I found out because the artists were nodding out constantly. And I was like, wow, everybody here's really sleepy. I don't get it. Until I saw that one of the tiles in the bathroom on the ceiling was kind of moved above the toilet. So one day I stood on the toilet, I moved the tile to see what was up there. And guess what was up there? Heroin.
I had a coworker, amazing artist. But at this stage of his life, he was falling asleep while he was tattooing.
I worked with a guy who was literally selling crack out of the shop, so you know, that was cool. We had, you know, quite a rivalry. He didn't like me. I was like new, young. We butted heads a lot, but the selling crack part made it not that hard to get him fired. So, you know, here we are.
I had a mentor who would literally like smoke cigarettes with one hand and have like a tattoo machine in the other hand, like teaching me shit.
Oh, cool.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
So we had this one coworker. He kind of guilted everyone, both me and Adrian and half of our shop, into getting tattooed by him. I had to cancel one time. I was in the hospital, not up to getting tattooed. Doctors said I should not get tattooed. After I canceled my appointment with him, he freaked out, blocked me on social media, would like pass me and be like, F you. When he finally got fired, he didn't take it very well. So like knives were pulled, cops were called, he was ripping ring lights out of walls, like just going absolutely ape bananas. The one garbage can was like smashed in half, like the Hulk fucking took his hand to it. It was wild. It was just wild. So he was just a little nuts.
I got fired from my first job ever when I was 16. I worked at an ice cream shop and I was pouring the fucking ice cream into the cone and she said it was too crooked and I got fired.
Your tattoo line is like...
What are my what?
Your tattoo line.
Well, they're not crooked now. I learned my lesson.
Okay, should I start with my abusive apprenticeship? Should I start with, I think for me it was like my first tattoo shop in the United States.
I had a guy, I cleaned his car so often, man, even if it didn't need cleaning, just re-cleaning that car.
It was traumatic. I was like, is this all there is to this industry?
I had my first apprenticeship with my first mentor, who was a raging alcoholic, raging drug addict. And my first time being in a tattoo shop, I'm pouring drinks every day. I'm going for bottle runs 3 times a day.
I had this like wonderful coworker, and he would text me in the mornings and he would be like, I just got to the parking lot and I come so throwing up because I'm so scared to come to work.
Oh my God.
And this is a really big, well-known shop, and he was just like the worst hazing you could ever imagine.
I wouldn't call him my worst employer, but he was my first employer, and he put me and he had this other apprentice, he put us through a lot of shit. Like when he wanted to take the walls down, he used our bodies. And Jackass was kind of popular at the time. So he needed to redo the entire basement, so he used me and Pancho and kind of just threw us through the walls to tear down the walls. He had this louvered door, and if any of you guys don't know what a louvered door is, it's the doors that are made out of several wooden slats. So he broke apart the wooden doors with me and Pancho, and then he used those little wooden slats to smack Pancho's hands later. Pancho would be sitting up on the counter, just minding his own business, and he would come by and just smack. And like by the end of the day, his hands were huge and purple. So it was a lot of like physical abuse, but again, at the time there wasn't really any other shops to go to, so it was kind of like you put up with a lot of shit because there was nowhere else to go.
He wanted to paint all the concrete steps outside, and he gave me a little piece of sandpaper. He was like, okay, you gotta sand this down so you can paint it. And I was out there for 3 hours. I was on the second step, and I was like, I need a sandblaster or something. He was like, if you can't do this, then just go home. So I went home, and then he was like, I'll let you know when I want you back. And the next morning I woke up with a text. He was like, I can't believe you didn't beg to come back. Get all your shit and go. You know, everything's a lesson in apprenticeships with, you know, scrubbing the baseboards with a toothbrush. Like, they're really teaching you good things.
I guess that being said, I don't know, it kind of like toughened me up. I'm not gonna say like I would promote that kind of thing, but it like really set me up to deal with a lot of shit later.
I never want anybody to experience that ever.
Okay, so I think the worst experience I had was with my ex-boss when I was a journalist. He was harassing me all of the time, and that's how I decided to quit and start learning how to tattoo. So he helped me somehow. Probably he didn't even know what he was doing, but it helped, yeah.
Do you have a coworker or workplace? It could be like a place you work. That was bad.
Oh. Yeah, you did.
I mean, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But
and he just passed away like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. We were cool right before he passed away, though.
Yeah.
We kind of made up in our own way. So, but I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah.
Rest
in peace. We love you.
What? No, this is real.
I have his obituary.
Yeah, they just had a celebration of life last week.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
He was the worst coworker, like at my previous job, like before I met her.